There's Furbies on government channels now. There are the weirdest memes are coming across your feeds, and when you're just like scrolling down the page, you're suddenly getting important information from a government account with Furbies. We're going to be talking a little bit about that and the weird memification of our whole landscape of a social spot. Well, we're going to talk about YouTube now surpassing media conglomerates like Disney and Netflix and being the largest media provider and just making so much money. YouTube face. We're talking about rebrands and a whole lot more. This is File New. This is your weekly source of creator and designer news. My name is Ryan Selvy, and I am your host. I'm a motion designer based in Brooklyn, and I love to cover all the things that are impacting your life. The first thing, obviously, that I want to touch on right here, as we kind of hinted at the very beginning, was New York's state official Instagram. Has it lost its mind? This is an article that is coming to us courtesy of the website Gothamist, which is a publication that covers a bunch of different stuff on the New York landscape. And they basically posted a really nice article. It was by Hannah Frischberg is her name. I want to make sure that we get her content right here for you guys so you guys know who wrote this article. And basically is talking about how now there is this emergence and existence of this presence of anything online that gets the most attention. The stuff that gets the most attention online are the things that are super weird. And there is important government information and updates coming to people. But now, rather than just posting the generic thing that looks like the regular, like this is coming from a government agency, now suddenly we are navigating these memes and weird content. You know, you can see here that this post that they have on NYGov says New Yorkers, we are high. So they're putting typos in it, going to get some extreme weather. Friday through Monday, it's going to be very cold, and there's a lot of snow, a lot. And so this is obviously doing very well. You know, has 16.8 thousand likes. And this is just commentary on the idea that there is this 27-year-old who is running a New York Gov website, and she says that I noticed that the weirder the post, the better it would perform, and therefore the more people would see really important government information. There also, we're talking about Jason Epnick, who's an assistant professor of digital media at Elmhurst University, and saying that there's this kind of flattening where everything is competing in exactly the same space. You are not hopping in between microcosms and small communities that are kind of like split up in the same way that maybe you would have like historically subreddits or something now. And I mean, still is, but it's a lot of just one constant feed. And so it's saying that you go from seeing a friend's dog to like possible war crimes to like a meme about this New York, all in the same news feed. And so everything kind of is becoming one voice and one brand, but then also the brain rotification, as Jacob is saying in the chat, is like very present. There are even media campaigns. I know Apple recently posted onto TikTok, and their TikTok has become very focused on having kind of brain rot, and I think they even called it like Steve Jobs rot or something like that. I can see if I can pull it up while I'm talking about it, but it is performing extremely well because it's things that are feeling like they exist in the social channel and they make sense. So like this is adorable, but it's all about like blushing, changing the Finder icon into these really glowy eyes. I mean, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, you would never see this sort of content, especially coming from a brand like Apple, who is so notoriously zipped up and like nice. And then they're posting things about like a lime FaceTiming on an iPhone or a MacBook to call a lime, and lemon and lime just kind of having this weird thing, and it's performing really well. I mean, look, it has 234,000 likes, 19,000 shares. And it's getting a really good response online. And it's this idea that brands, people are all kind of using this new memification and rot. Now, this isn't something that is entirely new. And it can also go horribly wrong, right? How do you guys feel about it? I know that like Wendy's kind of originally had this space about 10 years ago or so, when they were starting to have their approach on Twitter be unlike anything else. And the thing that we kind of had that then fell out from there was then everyone's just trying to be inappropriate and weird like Wendy's. And suddenly it felt very inauthentic and strange. And it didn't land. Wendy's managed to still pull it off. I mean, granted, like, you know, it's X now, it's not Twitter or whatever, but they're still posting weird things. You know, they're posting weapons t-shirts that look like Wendy's, and like big emojis. But for other ones, there were even like accounts that I know that said, you know, brands using emojis. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And so, yeah, we've got the White House also posting things, which is super weird in memes. It's just a changing landscape, and it's something to be aware of. If you're creating marketing for a brand or an agency, it's something to keep your eye on. I don't know if I would recommend doing it or not. It might be really successful, but it also might age really weirdly. This one doesn't have a news article, just something that I noticed. But some of the UI in Photoshop updated, and it looks really nice. I think that they just kind of buttoned up everything. It feels a little bit more clean cut. Everything feels like it has a little bit more room to breathe. They updated the icons. If you guys are hopping around and you find something interesting in Photoshop, let me know what you think about it. It's not just the canvas size one, but the canvas size one is the one that I first saw, and I just gave it a screenshot. Like I said, I don't have an article or anything for this, but it is something that is going on. I do have all these links, of course, in the raindrop for you guys. Should be it'll be in the description. I'll also throw it in the chat right now. And I'm seeing that Winter is making a good point in saying, how do you know when to take things seriously? And I think that's kind of a growing issue of everything, right? Of just life. And it's kind of like, how are you going to approach anything with seriousness if nothing is serious? Since we're talking about Photoshop updates, James Barnard, I'm sure you guys saw this, right? Like, this was there was one period of time, I think like on Thursday when this dropped, or Friday when this dropped, where everybody and their mom made a post about this update to Photoshop. But it bears calling out because it is really fascinating and it is crazy, and we are living in a different time. I'll let James speak to it. So here we go.
If you're a designer on social media, you've probably already seen the videos about Photoshop's new rotate feature. We got this in Illustrator a year or two ago. And if you haven't seen it, you can now drop a flat JPEG onto your screen, click a button, and now you can rotate and position this wherever you want. It's pretty great. Now, it has its limitations. Like, I tried to rotate myself in a scene and it just looks weird. So for photos of people, maybe it's not quite ready yet. But for somebody who makes logo markups for my clients, is it powerful? So check this out. I have this baseball cap mock-up that I use all the time because the embroidery effect on it is really good. And I can pop my logo designs into it quickly to see how it looks. But it's a sterile mock-up. The cap is angled pretty hard to the side and it's on a white background floating with no shadows or anything. But with this new Photoshop feature, I can make this look way more realistic, like dropping this onto a scene of a kitchen table. And I'm just going to use my selection brush to highlight this plate and cup and just hit remove. Now I just drop my cap onto the scene, hit this little transform image button, and then press rotate object. Now it starts with a really low res version, which is just for previewing purposes. So then I can rotate, resize, and perspective warp my image, and then just press done to load the high res version. With my final step, I press harmonize to color grade my cap onto the scene, shadows and all. Wow, that is unbelievable.
How did you say? Perspective warp. Now, he did say here that, like, he didn't like his kind of turning of himself. And I mean, when he's especially doing the low res kind of preview, that looks cursed as anything, right? But as he was saying, that's not the final version. I mean, if you were to do that real quick, obviously he knows himself. Obviously, it's not going to be a one-to-one of him. As someone who I've met him in person at Max before, so it's not even just like an online presence. As someone who's seen him in real life, if I were to see this picture, I would maybe take pause to it. But at the same exact time, like, it's super impressive that I still know exactly that is a James picture, right? It just looks like, it just looks like him. So obviously all this stuff can always get better. And also I like how this is built right into Photoshop. So it's while creators are still creating things in Photoshop and they're just being able to have a little bit more accessibility in the angles and the creations that they make. And I think that I don't know. I'm excited to play around with it. I have not played around with it too much yet, but when I do, I make sure I will post it for you guys. Chris says that he's waiting for an automatic perspective warp button. Yeah, give it time, I'm sure. Not that I know anything internally, but the fact that any of this stuff is being able to calculate what's on the picture, I think that is just a matter of time, right? By the way, hello to everyone that is joining in chat. Also, hello to everyone watching the replays. This is live on YouTube at the time, but is also available as a replay. So good to have you guys here. Oliver's saying, don't take anything seriously. It's much easier. Yes. And also much scarier. So what can you say? Then, since we're talking about YouTube, let's keep it on YouTube. And this is coming from Cinity, which is a great camera reviewer. They stay up to date with software. They also stay up to date with hardware and different changes. And in here, they're talking about how now YouTube is now the world's largest media company, and soon it's going to be home to the Oscars. So the Oscars just happened on Sunday. It was the 98th. It was the 98th anniversary, and I actually made a video about it. If we have time, we will even check that out in Rebrand. But now that was the last time that actually the Oscars was going to be hosted by a Disney entity, which is ABC. It's been on ABC for decades now, and so it is a big change for it. This was the 98th. I know that YouTube is getting theirs in 2028. So if this was 98, maybe... Wow, yeah, because if it's 2026 right now, it's 98. That means 99 is 2027, so 2028. So for the 100th anniversary of YouTube, of the Oscars, it will be on YouTube, which is fascinating. But not as fascinating when you start to look at things that are like hard numbers. It's saying that a new analysis by financial research firm Moffett, or I don't know if it's Moffett or Moffett, Moffett-Nathanson says that YouTube has overtaken the Walt Disney Company to become the world's largest media company by annual revenue. So this is hitting an estimated $62 billion in 2025, and the milestone arrives just days after the 98th Academy Awards. They said that YouTube's $62 billion in 2025 was surpassing Disney's $60.9 billion, excluding its theme parks and cruises, of course, because those are kind of separate from the idea of entertainment in a digital video landscape. YouTube would be worth between $500 billion and $560 billion if it was its own standalone company, which I don't know how that increases its value. I guess just since it's kind of like a Google baby or an Alphabet baby, that lowers its price. I'm not sure. But then it says of the revenue breakdown, approximately $40 billion came from advertising. So that only leaves, $22 billion for other means. But that was made up through YouTube Premium, which is when you pay for YouTube to have like more features and no ads. And then also YouTube Music, NFL Sunday Ticket, and YouTube TV. It is touting 10 million subscribers and projected to overtake pay TV leaders Charter and Comcast in the coming years. YouTube TV is too expensive. I mean, all TV. I don't pay for TV. I just pay for the streaming, but then I pay for so many streaming services that I might as well just pay for the actual thing. But it is interesting that they're still making full revenue through creating a TV service that years ago was not. Reverb Mike says that he watched the Oscars on Hulu, and Hulu is owned by Disney, and Disney owns ABC. So that makes sense, my friend. Everything is the same company. The Oscars will be on the YouTube page in 2029. So that'll be the 101st anniversary. I don't know where it's going to be for the 100th anniversary. I thought it was in 2028. Wow. All right. So we're going to have to retco that. If you guys stopped watching, I'm so sorry. But then again, you should keep watching the show and not leave mid-story. 2029 is when it's coming to YouTube. So I don't know where it's going to be for the 100th. But I know that it's not going to be on Disney, I think, apparently. Maybe that's still news. Who knows? Oliver won't be paying for YouTube TV. Tracy said that YouTube TV is so expensive. I also agree. It's very expensive. It's like in the 70s or $80, I think, a month, which is nuts. All right, guys, I have an AI story, and then I kind of have like an anti-AI story. Is it better to start with the anti-AI story or start with the AI story? Let's start with the AI story. And before I lose you, this is a conversation, and I want you to follow me with it because there are several things that have places where you're going to want to jump off, and it's not a shill. It is not whatever. Also, it always goes without saying, none of this stuff is Adobe endorsements. These are all just Ryan Selvy talking in the stories that I find. But let's talk about Doodles AI. So, Doodles AI. The reason I'm bringing this up is because Doodles is a creation that comes from Burnt Toast Creative. Burnt Toast Creative is a famous illustrator. He really blew up in the late 2010s on Dribbble. That's where I saw like a lot of his work, and a lot of people started kind of replicating his style and replicating his feelings. Then when the NFT craze happened back in 2021, he was one of the people who really leaned into it, for better and for worse, and had a complete blow up of things that he was selling going for unfathomable amounts of money. So this is like 20 ETH or something. So millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They looked like this, and they were the profile picture-esque kind of experience that you would see with Bored Apes and other stuff. Stay with me here, guys. They then saw the writing on the wall and were like, okay, NFTs are dying. No one's interested in these. We're going to start a second one that's a little bit off. It's not, limited edition. People can make their own. I kind of launched that on a separate blockchain. That didn't take off because NFTs died. A lot of the people that moved off of NFTs then moved into AI. Now, the reason I'm bringing any of this up is because yesterday or the day before, they launched a video on their Instagram announcing Doodles AI. Okay. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I just really want to say it because I feel like I'm going to lose people. I don't want to lose people. This is a conversation and I want to hear you guys' thoughts. They created Doodles AI, which is this creation where it is trained on his own work, right? And it is trained on Burnt Toast Creative style and the brand. I think Pharrell is even like in the corporate structure somehow of Doodles now. But using the training of style off of Doodles to then create Doodles AI, which then allows you to like turn pictures and turn creations into Doodles. And they say, the whole thing is like everyone's an artist, everyone can create, everything is a universe without limits, as they say. Naturally, a lot of the comments were like, I'm unfollowing you. I'm not interested. Why are you doing AI? This is awful, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know one of the biggest complaints and anger about AI is the idea that it is trained unconsensually often on the work of creators that do not want their work to train it. This is so interesting to me because this is trained solely off of one style of work with the idea that then people can use it and change it. Now, there's also obviously energy usage that people talk about, which maybe that's why people are mad. But the thing that I was really thinking as I was like, okay, one, who is this for? It's also proliferating your brand into a way that like suddenly your stuff's going to be everywhere and everyone's then going to even kind of hard associate your work with AI, which I guess they're kind of already doing because they're in the NFT space originally. But then it made me remember of South Park, and this was like huge in the early 2010s, maybe even like earlier than that. Was this thing where you would go on and you would like cycle through and you would make your character. And I think it was like, it was probably early 2010s because then people started setting all of their profile pictures of South Park characters that they created. And so it was a collection of assets, and this is still live, by the way. I took this screenshot yesterday. This is a thing that you go on, you pick the eyes, you pick the mouth, you pick the thing, and like you're not creating anything, right? Like you are just going onto a creator and then you're switching and then you're like, this is me, and you're uploading it as a picture and you're saying this is South Park, this is me. Obviously doesn't use artificial intelligence, was way before any of that. But to me, when I'm looking at this, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, is this just a really weird 2026 version of this? I'm seeing that Jacob Paris is saying it's a craft that people hone and sacrifice a lot of their life for. Yes, but the thing is, this is so iconic of like, this is clearly Doodles, is like no one's going to think that anyone drew this thing. Do you follow what I'm saying here? Once again, I'm not shilling this. I'm not saying this is awesome. I'm not saying this is awful. I just am navigating this in a way that is like, this is confusing to me and fascinating, and I wanted to bring it up, and I wanted to hear how you guys thought. I'm seeing Mike saying the art is the fun part. Why let AI do it? Because I guess like your mom is not gonna ever hone her craft of art, and she might like the look of something for fun, but then she's never gonna take credit for drawing it, right? And then also like this obviously is never gonna be used to advertise anything else, right? Like it's just gonna be for doodles. You know, I'm confused. So, but that's all. Let's move away from it because people are going to hop off from that. They're going to be like, this is an AI show. I'm also not beating the AI allegations, guys. I know that I saw, I think it was even Alyssa was like, oh, yeah. Guys, I have these videos. Everyone keeps saying that I'm AI. And it's because, I guess, I have a really boring background. I also have a nice camera. And people keep commenting on it and like saying like, hey, is this guy AI? There was one where like somebody commented. I didn't grab a screenshot of it. I think I put it on my TikTok, but it had like 60 likes, and they were like, I'm pretty sure this guy's AI. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I don't know if I have to, switch up my camera and not film nice stuff. But we are on YouTube. We've talked a lot about YouTube today, and there was a really cool article about YouTube Face and the rise and proliferation of kind of a culture and an idea all within the YouTube creator economy. This is from who wrote this? Oh gosh, do I even have it written down? I have to pull it up on my thing. And it talks a lot about how when they figured out, this is by Nate Rogers. I'll make sure that I include that screenshot on here. This is from Nate Rogers, and he was talking about how Mr. Beast and the success of Mr. Beast really came down to algorithmic analysis of what performed well with A/B testing. And basically there was this Mr. Beast face where he opened his mouth and was like, wow. And basically that was the one that kept working over and over and over again. This is late to the 2010s, early 2020s. And it was a thing where it's like the amount of change that would happen from including your face, making a really crazy response, was a significant impact to the way that things performed. It comes from a guy, Appleby. He is, what is his last name? Does he have a first and last name? Let's see. He was saying that he was the one that figured it out, and he then made like a bunch of faceless channels too, and also was able to like sell them and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But then he ended up actually then suggested to Mr. Beast to close his mouth in 2023, and finally it started working better. And it was kind of this thing of where everyone went and did the swoop and then created all of the same face. So then suddenly they stopped performing well. So then when you switch back, it has to then be performing well on its own thing, right? And then it said that like, at what point does the data drive what you're creating so much that then you lose the creativity behind the process? And then also, when does data drive it to then be able to amplify your message and your content to a bigger audience? And it's like always that dichotomy and always that kind of struggle of weight balancing between, okay, like how do I get in front of a bunch of people and how do I get them to watch the video, but how do I still keep myself? They were saying, Chucky Appleby was saying that don't copy this formula at this point anymore, because the person who ends up being the quote unquote next Mr. Beast is going to do something totally different, which there is validity to that statement. But then at the same time, like in order to get to that point, you have to then also kind of exploit the same tactics. It's so weird. Sean says the pendulum of open and closed mouth, the pendulum of the idea of having a big face next to content and like everyone like, going as if it was like on Nick Jr., right? And then to the idea of like actually being adults and being like just, maybe your face and next to the thing. And then once again, I'm sure once it gets boring again, everyone will also probably get kind of loud and obnoxious again. And I see Sean's being like, really? Like, really? Is that it? Like that's the internet for you. I don't know what to tell you. Like if that upsets you, like I get it. but it's just that's part of everything. It's kind of when we were talking at the top of the show, we were talking about how these memes are proliferating social media and real content. Let's do a palate cleanser though, because I know we were talking a lot about AI and we're talking a lot about algorithms and how the internet's a different place now. This is an article that was posted yesterday by Sarah Perez, one of my favorite journalists on TechCrunch, talking about Kagi. And Kagi is an alternate search browser, or search engine that you actually pay for. This service you don't have to pay for, but the company itself you do pay for. I tried it out for a few weeks. You actually get charged kind of per search. And then I found myself like not getting enough out of it that I ended up not renewing. But some people swear by it, okay? But the thing that I do like about them is they really are intentionally and thoughtfully approaching their product and the way that the internet interacts with creators. They are launching the small website. It is something, the small web website, and it's something kind of like a modern day Stumble Upon, according to Sarah, which I also agree with. And when you go to the website on the small web, it gives you a nice, I'm going to have to pull it up off screen because I want to make sure it's nothing inappropriate. But it pulls up a nice bar off the top that has you kind of then switch between different websites that all are based off of RSS feeds that are proven to not be AI. So they are hand vetted to then be able to have you switch through. You can switch through the topics and you can look at different types. So you can do art and illustration, and then you can kind of go, and then every single time you can just kind of continue to look at new stuff. It has lots of web comics, like making a new font from Found Lettering by Dan Cederholm and being able to kind of look through that. And what I really like about this is the idea of an approach and appreciation to a handcrafted human internet. Something that we've really lost, not even in just with AI, but just with algorithms and social media. Late 90s, early 2000s, there was obviously a lot less organization on the internet, and there were GeoCities, and there were a bunch of different one-off websites. One of the criticisms of this service is that they don't really rely on anything besides RSS, which is a feed of blog posts. So you don't get a lot of those one-off websites, but it's always something that they can always increase and also include later with an update. I'm sure of it. This has over 30,000 small websites in their index, and it is just a good way to be able to kind of point back towards things that, you know, if you're just flipping through, you're like, I want to read something by a human. This is how you get there. I'm seeing some love for GeoCities in the chat. I see Oliver and All Taped Media saying bring it back. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely kind of like a it was definitely kind of like a, whatchamacallit, junk journaling. Junk journaling was GeoCities was like junk journaling. GeoCities was the junk journaling of the 2000s when people got over the idea of actually putting it in scrapbooks, and now people are actually also putting it back in scrapbooks. I am checking a comment from Reverb Mike over on Behance real quick, and he's saying that Kagi actually is an LLM. Is it? It says that it's not a single LLM, but a premium privacy-focused search engine that offers an AI assistant capable of accessing multiple leading LLMs. Okay, so it's not by its own thing just an AI thing. It has AI features in it, just like every other website, everywhere, everything. But by its main default, it's not a AI system tool. This, however, in itself is handpicked and created. Human connection, we love it, right? So that's what these next few ones are. There are 3 different motion conventions going on. I figured it out through the wonderful folks at School of Motion who do Motion Mondays. It is kind of similar to this show, except it's pre-recorded. They post it every Monday, and it's all motion focused. So if I wander too much for you and you're like, I want another thing, and you know, it's always good to diversify your diet. Go ahead and check them out. They're linked in the Raindrop as well. But in their recent show, they recently talked about how Pictoplasma is coming up. Movo and Mode are all happening in the coming months. Pictoplasma is in Berlin, and it is May 7th through 10th. It's the International Conference on Character Creativity. Muvo is happening March 26th through 27th in Prague. So we're just like traveling all over the world right now. And this conference is focused. I'm pulling up their website right now. Has a bunch of really good speakers. They said this theme for this year is space, and it has take place in a unique space of a planetarium with the world's largest LED dome projection, which is super cool. There will be a camp, and they'll be talking about visual creations. They'll be talking about lectures with thought-provoking discussions, they say. And I wish that I could, go out there. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to, but that's also something to check out if you are in that area. They have Kazat, who do In a Nutshell, who I really love. And yeah, they said it's a platform that has been focusing on the intersection of graphic design, film, animation, and technology. Then also NAB is coming up. I know that Adobe will be there with a few stuff. Also some other creators like CA and LA, who are live right after this, are also going to be there. That takes place in Vegas. So if you are in Vegas, you can go. That's going to be between April 18th to 22nd. So that's in a little over a month. Actually, a month from today. And then finally, the one that I found, just came across my feed, is from SP Designers, and they're having the annual SPD Awards, and they're going to celebrate the best work of 2025. And that is in New York City. And seems like a pretty cool thing. Maybe I can get tickets. Maybe I can go. If I do, I will definitely report back for you guys. And is that all of our news for today? Did I miss anything? What is this? That's a rebrand. I think that is. All right, guys, before we hop in. Oh, wait, no. One more thing. The Verge, Richard Lawler was reporting that Dig. Remember we were talking about that? We were saying that Dig was coming back. Dig was really big. I keep talking about the early 2000s today. It was really big in the early 2000s, and then Reddit kind of ate its lunch, and then it shut down and kind of sold off for its parts. Just trying to come back, and they launched this beta app, which then I reported on in a previous episode. It's already gone again, but apparently it's not dead. They said that it's just gonna maybe come back in another form again, but apparently it was a response of just bots taking over, and the idea that it was unable to navigate AI kind of popping in and having janitorial work of moderators and community managers. Their whole thing was that, yeah, you can see here it says, we knew that bots were part of the landscape, but we didn't appreciate the scale, sophistication, or speed of which they would find us. We banned tens of thousands of accounts. We deployed internal tooling and industry standard external vendors. None of this was enough. So they're putting it on pause. They're going to try to then figure out what they're going to do, and then they're going to come back to it. But that is the state of the web and the state of the world. Now, before we hop into Rebrand, how are we doing on time? It's 1:36, so we are already strapped for time, and we got a lot of rebrands to get through. We also have little resources, but if you look over here, guys, we don't have any font of the week, and we always do font of the week. So I'm hoping that we can get at least 3 different suggestions in the chat, and then we will go over what they are. But while I am working on this stuff, please, can you please go and say, nominate a font of the week? And I am going to put it, and I'm going to pin it. And if nobody does anything, then you guys are going to have me on the fly have to just like frantically pick one. But if you guys could please go to fonts.adobe.com, go and then nominate. Oliver's saying Comic Sans. It's on. Comic Sans is on Adobe Fonts. So, don't joke too much, otherwise it's going to be a thing. We're going to go to my favorite part of today's show in Rebrand with a song that I cannot get out of my head. And I posted it to my stories, but we're going to check it out. This is coming to us from a comedian, Ada Nick, and she created a update because she noticed that the Arctic Glacier Premium Ice brand had a rebrand. And it was just, I cannot stop singing this song, and I need you guys to suffer with me.
Have y'all noticed that the Arctic Glacier bags have a sans serif font now? Sans serif font now. Why did the logo need an update?
It blew up. It got huge. Winter saying the song is stuck in my head. Yeah, no. It's why do they even have an app? I just keep walking around the office. I mean, not the office. The office is my house. I keep walking around my apartment just going, you sell bags of ice. And I'm not, they're rebrands are important. Rebrands are a thing. And who's to say that they can't? But like, I don't know if I'm gonna reach for any certain type of bag over another one based off of the brand of ice in the freezer. I just want to get out of the freezer really quick. Penny says, why do they have an app? That was my biggest question. Why do they have that? Nate Bergasi or whatever his name is, I think makes jokes about ice, so that kind of makes sense. But still, it's like, it's so crazy that they're there. It's just so crazy to me, and it's so funny, and I can't get it out of my head, and it's just a fun kind of exploration. Now, since we're looking at different creations online and reels, I'm gonna make you guys watch some of my own content because I made an update to a breakdown of the Oscars, which happened on Sunday, and talked a little bit about their branding. This is on YouTube. If you do me a favor, if you're on YouTube, one, thank you for giving the thumbs up for this video, but also if you're on YouTube, please give me a follow, a subscribe. I'm trying to get my YouTube views up because, as you see, now they're the biggest company, so like I might as well definitely invest in it. But this is also on Instagram and on TikTok, and this is my Oscars design breakdown where people think that I am AI. So I don't know, man. Did the Oscars theme remind anybody else of the coming soon to DVD screens from the early 2000s? Here's my biggest design takeaways from the night. I like how they had the generic lower thirds, but when someone won an award, a cute little trophy would pop up. The title cards for categories made me think of like a luxurious Indiana Jones tomb. To add some motion, they would extrude text and have this nice little shadow effect. Costume design and production design must have had a bigger budget though, because those category intros were nuts. They had these cinematic POV shots with custom title treatments. The production design category even had specialized nameplates for nominees, which is great because I love when design reflects the subject. They do this typewriter effect every year for screenwriting, but the text alongside the English translation for this one was a nice touch. Best Picture got an exclusive treatment for both the title card and the nominees, which made it feel like a bigger deal, of course. And then I had thoughts about the set design. I liked the extra long widescreen that went up and down. It worked particularly well when they were putting nominees and visuals side by side or introducing people. But then other times the design felt like a spa garden waiting room. Conan kept standing next to this square that felt like he was outside a restaurant waiting for his reservation. But the moving panels were fun to watch, and they could be interchangeably used for both props and scenes. I'm Ryan Selvy. Follow for more designer and creator news. I got a big old cheesy smile. I never know what to do at the end, and so I'm just always like blindly just being like, okay, I look totally insane. The one thing that I really liked about being able to post this is not feeling as insane. A lot of people were saying that the square next to Conan was also bothering them, so I was like, okay, yay. Gosh. Of course, everyone's commenting about me being AI. Tracy's saying that it's more ethical because you trained Ryan AI in the middle of Ryan on you, like doodles. No, this is fully me. I cut it down. I wonder if I should like start posting the back end of my Premiere files onto my social media just to show the people that like they exist outside of the cuts that I do. Yeah, no, it's. I also learned through the comments that apparently that Persian text is, or I don't know if that Persian text is the proper word for it, but the text that is not English, apparently is inaccurate, according to one commenter. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I thought that was really interesting. There were parts that I really liked. I'm just loving breaking down different broadcast designs and broadcast packages. I know March Madness started, I think, yesterday, so I'm going to be doing one on that. I have my eye, F1 also had one this last weekend, but it might be too late to report on that. But they had some really cool motion graphics. But I'm seeing that in the chat that Jacob is saying famous short form contentist Ryan Selvy, which is funny and weird. Jacob's having me add glitches. No, people are going to stop watching me because they think that I'm all AI. Then let's take a look at this Firefox one. We've definitely reported on this before. They just did a hard launch to it 5 days ago. Firefox, the browser, Mozilla, posted this onto their page and had the fox that goes around the icon kind of go into a circle. Everyone got really nervous for a second. Everyone's like, please do not have one of these new nameless circle logos that are proliferating the internet. But then they came back and they introduced Kit, and we definitely looked at Kit before. Maybe we just found a like side website where they like were teasing it or something leaked. I don't know, but we definitely looked at this before, and now they're really introducing Kit as this new mascot that speaks for the values and morals.
The internet is changing,
because I have no idea if it has things. Can I play to it? But yes, I can. Yes. And he has this really long tail. You know, it's giving Pokemon vibes. It is giving like an interchangeable interacting character that's able to go around different elements of both branding, marketing, UI, and really leaning into the idea that like within the traditional logo, the tail was super, super long. But they even do things like this where they're like breaking it up fully. On their website, you can see they have super long here. And then being able to use it where it's like obviously his body would not be like that, but it then goes all the way around, which creates an interesting brand element that then can kind of be applied. Because then I guess you can also, if you wanted to, I'm going to zoom in like crazy here, you could even do just the tail and you kind of would understand, or I guess you could always just do just the head, but I think the tail is such a big part where like it is kind of recognizable to go around the circle for it. It's cute. I like it. It's fun. It's very gradient heavy. They're doing some pinks and purples on the bottoms and even some like black shadow here. Then all the way up to being fully illuminated kind of just above the top. His ears also get a little bit darker again, but also using these shines on the eyes as pupils, even though they're kind of reverse, which I remember in the Jackie Chan cartoon show, they had a character that had this and it bothered me. But for here, maybe just my taste has changed and what I understand is different. But I think that it is different. I also say Gavril Brown saying, can you play all four at the same time? Heck yeah, I can. Look at that. Boom. My GPU CPU is freaking out, I'm sure. How are we doing on time? 1:46. All right. And I also saw you guys nominated a bunch of people, so I want to make sure I touch on the ones, the people that I reached out to, because I definitely talked to Oh, that's Resource though. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Discover Weekly. This is coming to us from Studio Hairstrom. They said that in collaboration with Spotify's in-house creative team, they developed a refreshed visual identity for Discover Weekly's 10-year anniversary, creating a dynamic system that celebrates a decade of discovery, embraces the ritual of weekly listening, and introduces new ways for listeners to shape their experience. Spotify is also experimenting, this is outside of a news story, also experimenting with being able to update your taste profile and be able to have more control, which is interesting because I know we talk a lot about algorithms and how we wish we had more control over them, and some services are experimenting with giving people more control to be able to then tailor their taste. Spotify is doing micro updates of branding and being able to kind of lean on things that have historically worked, like, you know, Discover Weekly, and having a brand language that pops up and creates something really cool. And then Buck Design did a fun Sims motion design project. And it's just really fun seeing Sims continue to evolve over my lifetime. You know, when it first came out, I remember it being so, you know, like a micro. It was a big deal, but it was just this one little thing, and it has since grown and grown and grown, and has really developed a cultural identity. And people, you know, go "Susu," and people like know what you're doing, or "Gablork," you know, people like figure it out, and then there are obviously things that are happening on top of any video game or experience. So the fact that they are really leaning into the idea of the Sims tone, the Sims voice, and being able to then create a motion principle and toolkit that then is being able to encompass the whole brand is very cool. And I would love to be able to see that in the UI and how things are approached in the game. So those are all our rebrands for today. I'm going to hop over quickly to Font of the Week. That way we have time to look at the ones and then that you guys have done, and then we'll be able to vote on a few of them. So let's do Font of the Week. All right. I definitely saw Alyssa grabbed a few for us here. She said that I have to go back up. If you guys want to like put it in, I saw Green Fairy. I know you definitely mentioned Green Fairy. So let's check out Green Fairy real quick. Adobe fonts. Have we looked at Green Fairy before? Let's see. We have not. Let's look at this one. All right. So this is coming to us from Maria Montez from Type O Tones. It looks like it is a it's definitely a serif, but what is that type of serif when it's not a slab serif? It's definitely have like a lot of variety in its widths and how wide it can be. It's definitely a decorative font. You would never use this for anything of body copy sorts. It is a chromatic font family, highly ornamented for display purposes. As its name suggests, this font has a sweet aroma inspired by the classic French absinthe ritual. Green Fairy's characters have been specifically designed to accommodate its loops following a modern typeface structure. So let's put it into list mode. Let's look at it as file new. We can bring up the test size. And yeah, it's got some weird, crazy stuff in here with like these little crosses in them. I'm wondering if I were to use it, if I would want to get rid of the crosses at some point, because I feel like you could definitely use this and like black out this small area and it still would be a successful typeface, right? I think that this is an interesting and ornate approach. I always get too worried about incorporating some sort of ornate thing because it always feels like it demands so much attention from the viewer and the design. And yeah, all right. Then I'm seeing from Chris the Mencken font. So wait, I guess I should take a screenshot of this and put it in the thing, right? All right, so let's look at Green Fairy. We're gonna do that. So we have CA and LA coming up right after us. So I can't go over like I used to now that they're on YouTube. So we're going to put this over here. That's our first one. Okay. Thank you, Alyssa, for that. Then we have the Mencken font. That's coming from Chris. And I lost it again. I need more monitors because I have 3 monitors. I need more monitors. This one is coming to us from Type Foundry. And it is designed by Jean-Francois Porches, and it is very pretty. Let's see if they have a description for it. Not all of them have descriptions. It's an American Scotch remixed in 27 fonts. Wow, they really kept it real bare bones there. Looks like it is formal, but could also be a headline font, or could probably even be body copy if you wanted to. Let's see how thick when it looks really, really tiny. Can we still read it? Yes, we can. So standard regular looks like it's really good. It has some nice italics. It has lots of different weights and lots of different styles for you. We can always look at it as file new. See how that looks. Yeah, I like the W, especially in the italics. The curviness of the W is fun, but then when you are not in italics, it looks like they opt into more of a straight, rigid kind of back and forth. So nice to have that flexibility and the ability to hop around. So we're going to make that our second option. I'll put that back on here. I keep losing my artboard in Firefly. More votes. Can we vote? Yes. I just need to pick one more. Reverb Mike, I think, is saying Absinthe as last one. And if this one is, then I'll put up the thing as quick as possible. But I think that's a vote for a thing. And if it's not, shame on you. Shame on you, my friend Mike. There's no Absinthe font. All right, I need another one. Where is another one? Where is another one? We've definitely done Oh No Blaze Face before. I saw somebody else one. I think Tracy had one, didn't she? Tracy, what did you suggest? Tracy suggested Bookmania, which we might have also done before, but oh well. I want to have at least 3 different people for this. Oh wait. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. All right. I should have retyped my nom. All right, Tom. All right. Oh, have we done Bookmania? All right. We'll do 4, guys. We're going to do 4. We're going to do Bookmania because I already called it out and I don't want to bring down Tracy. Also, I'm seeing that there was a Bebis, which I feel like we know this, but doesn't everyone know Bebis? Bebis is like one of a quintessential font. Like that's like in the same way of like I don't know, Arial, right, at this point. And then Tum is the last one here. All right. And then we're going to have to put up the vote ASAP because we're going to run out of time otherwise. So I have too many browsers, too. Do you guys see how many browsers I have? I literally have Chrome, Helium, and Zen all at any given moment. And the last one is Tum. Oh, haven't we done Tum? Or have I just like decided not to do Tum several times? I definitely have almost popped it up before. So I'm surprised to see that I've never actually incorporated it into the show before. So, all right, guys, we are going to have to go and do a very quick poll. And it's going to be a very fast font of the week. Green Fairy, Minkin, Bookmania, and Tum. All right, I'm going to start that poll. It's going to have to be fast. How much time we got? Oh, okay. We've got like 6 minutes. So, all right. Well, that's all going on. By the way, Tum is designed by Harbour Bickmore from That Type. And very curvy. Has lots of cuts into the letters, which is really fun. Very bubbly and hops around a lot. Works with a really geometric, forward-facing experience. Only has one weight. Looks like it might be. Is it all always lowercase? Let's see. No, it's not. Okay. So you can do it. I don't know why I wrote my name that time rather than file new. Oh yeah, so some of the uppercase still kind of looks like lowercase. Like not like the F is the same in upper and lowercase, but the N is different between the two. I don't know if I like that because I would want variety for every single letter if I have it for some letters. And then the last one, because I don't want to hop over Bookmania, right? Was that the last one we had? Bookmania, that was Tracy's. And that was what? That's from Mark Simpson, Simonson. Mark Simonson from Mark Simonson Studio. Beautiful. This one is a classic. This can be used really tiny if you want it to, and it's still very legible. But also, if you like blow it up, they have some really nice ornate glyphs that you can switch out to have kind of different drop caps and different ornaments that you can add to different letters. Like look at the F right there that it brings down. And then we can also say file new like that. You know, you have all of your italics and your bolds all the way to black, all the way to light. And it's nice. Do they have a write-up for their own thing here? Combines the study elegance of the original Bookman old style with the swashy exuberance of the Bookmans of the 1960s with over 680 swash characters. So there's a lot of glyphs there. More than any previous Bookman, the possibilities are endless. The broad range of weights make it great for display use, but it also works well for text. Unlike Bookman revivals, it retains the original classic sloped Roman for the italic. Bookmania includes all the features you would expect in a modern digital font family. And then for this one, for Tum, it says Tum is a modern quirky display sans serif type that is super bold and perfect for headlines. It's playful and fun with bubbly curves and exaggerated ink traps. Tum says it's best in a big type size. Clever says that AI Ryan is overcompensating for 4 choices after preparing 0. I just wanted to give it back to the community, okay? It has nothing to do with me forgetting and running out of time. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a community building thing. And we only have a few. We lost Behance, I know. We only got like 2 minutes left. But while that's going on and while you guys continue to vote, I'm not even going to play the resources thing. I'm just going to show you Chris Moran's really cool Photoshop breakdown. Oh. Did I just screenshot this? Did I not actually put this as a video?
These two completely opposite effects give your work some crunch. If your animation feels overly crisp, what you're reacting to is perfectly clean edges. To get that analog soul, you need 2 effects. Start with a Gaussian blur, just 2 pixels. It might look wrong at first, but you're creating a subtle ink bleed. Then, stack an unsharp mask directly on top. These 2 effects are now in a tug of war. The blur softens the edges, while the mask pulls sharpness back through it. Set the unsharp radius around 5, and dial the amount to taste. This reintroduces some artifacting that digital tools normally don't have. Now, if you drop these on an adjustment layer over collage animation, your digital assets start to read like physical scans.
Isn't that great? That's fun. It's a very easy way. It's also like kind of like I like that he acknowledges he's like it's gonna feel scary and it's gonna feel wrong at first, but just power through, trust the process, and it's gonna create something cool. And so just something that you can add to your repertoire of knowledge. So you can also follow him over at @ChrisMoran_ on Instagram. Super nice guy. Always lets me do stuff. Also, there's a link to this resource in the Raindrop. Someone created a free plugin for After Effects where it lets you preview TikTok, Reels, and Shorts safe zones directly in your comp. It's entirely free and is included. We have seconds left. So I'm going to go ahead and we are going to end the vote in 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh gosh, guys, come on. We need one more vote. We need one more vote. It's tied. Oh gosh, I can't make the CA and LA girls mad at me. I need one more vote. One more vote. One more vote. I don't want to do a tie. I can't do a tie. I'm going to give 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, no one voted. All right, guys. So then I'm going to have to pick my winner. All right. And oh wait, no, you want to hit it. People did vote. It just didn't update. Oh, okay, cool, great. All right, it goes to Green Fairy with 36% of the vote. Way to go, Green Fairy. Da, 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 da. You can catch all of this in the Raindrop. Make sure you follow me over on YouTube and on Instagram. I'm Ryan Selvy. They're right here. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Make sure you stick around. Coming up next is CA in LA. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everyone in the chat. I don't have time to say goodbye. Love you all. Goodbye. I keep forgetting that I don't have the like coming up next on Twitch thing. So it's going to be here. I just have to end the stream. This is just me cutting time so that it doesn't get cut off because there's a little bit of a delay between the two. I'll see you guys over in CLNA in like 5 seconds. Okay.